did grow up in a Navy family. My father was a naval aviator, was born in Key West, Florida, moved around. Then he retired from the service back to Texas, where both my parents are from. And then I was commissioned through the ROTC program at the University of Texas, and I went into the Navy for almost 23 years. So the idea that I've been parked in one suburban house for over 10 years, I find appalling. But when I got ready to retire from the service, I thought to myself, what would I want to do that I would enjoy as much as I enjoyed going to sea with my shipmates, and being a defense contractor was not it. So I said, well, I like to travel and I like to write. I think I'll go be a travel writer. And that's literally as naive as I was. And in the process, I started a travel blog. And that got me involved with social media. And then a few years ago, we launched Tourism Currents to do social media training specifically for the tourism industry. But I didn't have background in the tourism industry. I'm a liberal arts major. I've never had a marketing class. Did a lot of instructor stuff in the Navy, so I've talked a lot. But I really had a learning curve in terms of what I learned about destination marketing. And I'm hoping for those of you that don't maybe have that kind of expertise that I can help you with that today. Because here it is, 2018, and you've got a whole lot of people on the web who are looking for exactly what you offer with your byways. So, Native Stone Scenic Byway here in this particular slide. I walked out to get the shot at sunset and, of course, stood in the middle of the road because who the heck's coming? Why not? Where are my Kansas Byway folks?
Yay, Kansas.
I recognize
Yes, indeed. You know where I was. Yes. And the idea that I would go driving off into the sunset to find a byway that has a bunch of rocks on it just tells you how compelling byways really are. But you are a part of an enormous industry, and part of what we're going to talk about here today is, for some of you, maybe you don't even realize the impact that you have with your byway, and with the fact that what you do with your byway, the opportunities for travel experiences matter. And I know sometimes with everything that's going on in the world, it might be tempting to think that what we do in travel and tourism, that side of the house, is, you know, kind of lightweight. You know, or you get the sense maybe that, are we really accomplishing something here? Is this just kind of funsies? But I want you to know that travel matters for a number of different reasons, and what you do with your byway matters as well. Flint Hills National Scenic Byway, one of my favorites, and it's those of you who've read Little House on the Prairie and the Seas of Grass, that's exactly what it looks like. But what you do with your byways, the travel experiences that you offer, the fact that a byway trip is actually convenient, right? Because things are kind of they're either in a loop or they're all along one road, and in people's busy lives, it's really nice to be told all you have to do is just show up at this end of the Flint Hills National Scenic Byway, for example, and drive north and see this, and this. Or start at the top and drive south and see this, and this. It's laid out for them, right? And it's a cohesive story that's told along a byway, which is also very appealing. So the particular corner that you have in the travel and tourism industry really does good things. And the people that are on the byway are what really deliver those experiences. This is an event called Symphony in the Flint Hills, where the Kansas City Symphony once a year goes out to some random patch of prairie in or near the Flint Hills National Scenic Byway, parks themselves, puts up a big temporary kind of dome thing, and does an outdoor concert as the sun sets. So, as soon as I heard about it, I said, I must go. And you're going to do what? I'm going to go to a symphony in the prairie. I'm going to sit in the grass and listen to, my parents were like, great, have a good time. My husband and family, great, have a good time. So off I went. What a fabulous experience. The guest singer, this was last year or the year before, they're all kind of running together. The guest singer was Michael Martin Murphey. So as the sun was going down, they staged, I knew it was staged, but it's okay. They had cattle that kind of ran over the hill. They were, Chisholm Trail stuff, coming over the hill as the sun's going down, the wildflowers are blowing, and he sings Wildfire, and he can still hit the notes, and you're going, I'm so old, but this is great. But before the symphony, they had all kinds of local things that you could do, not local, but area things you could do related to the prairie. And this is a botanist, a plant expert who took us on a hike around some of the sections of prairie near where the symphony was going to be in a couple of hours, and taught us what we, explained to us what we were looking at. She's one of the people who makes the Flint Hills area so special, and all of you have folks like that on your byway. The impact that you have in terms of teaching people and making them feel connected to where you live is kind of hard to underestimate. Travel has an emotional impact. It can change people's lives. It makes memories for people. It's not all that easy to put into a box, and so when somebody says, what do you do in travel and tourism with your byway, you hand them a box of awesomeness. You don't have a box of awesomeness to show them, but I assure you that there's a virtual box out there somewhere full of treasures of people who have had wonderful experiences traveling on your byway. I'm going to try to run a video here, a tourism campaign from Idaho called 18 Summers. The gist is that you only have 18 summers to travel with your kids. Makes my hair stand up, right? We just dropped my youngest off at college like 2 days ago. Oh. And I'm like not maternal. I'm amazed I even had children. And I was just poop. And every time I look at this, I think, did I do it right? Did my husband and I really spend the 18 summers the way that we should have, or the 18 Christmases, or the 18 Thanksgiving vacations, whatever? Did we do it right? Too late now. Boop. Now, there'll be plenty of other opportunities to travel, obviously, but this is the kind of stuff that you all are doing. Let's see if I can get it to play. So, 18 summers, but that's the kind of thing that you do on your byway to make an emotional impact on people's lives. We're also in a rather touchy period of time right now in our country. We have a lot of tribalism going on. Those guys, these guys, my people, those people, that kind of thing. One of the things that can help bridge those divides is travel. And obviously, many of you know that where we are right now is often derisively referred to as flyover country, okay? I have to tell you, I was part of that crew. I'm a Navy person. I know the West Coast. I know the East Coast, because that's where the ocean is, right? I know Interstate 10, because that's where you make the cross-country moves, because you always go south when you never want to be up in all that crap up north, right? Always on Interstate 10, and all those big square states in the middle, that's where the Army and the Air Force go. Okay? Thank God, North Dakota and South Dakota tell me where they're roughly positioned, because I have no clue otherwise. So, I've spent some time, since I've started traveling a lot more in the Midwest, learning about the Midwest and growing to appreciate it much, much more than I already did. But you've got people who think they know what the Midwest is like. You have people in the Midwest who think they know what the coasts are like. The rural folks need to get out and see the big cities. The big city folk need to get out and see the rural areas. We all need to see each other's side. And what you do with your byways is part of a wonderful opportunity to bridge some of the divisiveness and tribalism that we're experiencing right now in our country. So again, if you think you're in some kind of lightweight industry, you really aren't. You can really, really make a difference. Great quote. Many of you may have heard it already from Mark Twain. Fatal to narrow-mindedness. A polite way of saying get out more. Okay? Other people have ways of life that are just as good in their eyes as yours is. We all need to talk to each other about why we think the things that we do and why we experience the world as the way that we do, okay? Let's talk money, all right? Let's go down to brass tacks, though. And I think many of you may not be familiar with some of the data here, because you know when people come into your towns along the byway, you can tell when there's an uptick in traffic. You can tell when there's an increase in foot traffic, car traffic. You see cars that have license plates from different states, that sort of thing. I mean, you know kind of viscerally that travel and tourism is vital to the health and the visibility of your scenic byway. This is my mother's hometown in Winnsboro, Texas. I will tell you that I was drugged there usually during the summer when it's blazing hot, when my dad had the opportunity to take leave and there was nothing to do. You could roll a bowling ball down the middle of the street. The only thing to do is go hang out at the Dairy Queen because it was air conditioned. And I had to try to think of something to say to my grandmother. So Winnsboro was not my favorite place to go. But Mom and I went back a few years ago for her, as I call it, 11th billionth high school reunion. She's 83, she's still cranking through the reunions. And we drove into town at about 7 o'clock on like a Tuesday, and I thought, we're going to be at the Dairy Queen because ain't nothing in a small town going to be open at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. So there I'm going to have the T-brand 3 taco thing I always order. And the little Main Street area had restaurants, had all kinds of activity going on, people coming in and out of doors. There was an artisanal pizza place to eat. There's a restaurant run by a South African woman that is fabulous. There's a pub that has Wi-Fi. So I sent a tweet out on Winnsboro Wi-Fi, which is a phrase I never thought I would say in my life. I have to tell you, the big secret was they got a liquor license. So, it used to be a dry county, and when Wood County went wet, Winnsboro said, whoa. But they also glommed onto the arts as a way to bring people in. And so I've seen, kind of from a small town level, the financial impact of travel and tourism and a busy downtown. But let's just run through some stats really quick at a national level from the U.S. Travel Association of how much money people spend on travel in this country. I mean, 880 billion with a B. Woo, right? And that's just domestic travelers. Your international travelers, not too shabby either. Some discussion about whether the current environment is damping down people's interest in visiting the U.S. You can find stats going in both directions. But the fact is, those who are coming here so far are spending money. And it creates jobs. There's an economic impact to travel, and an economic development impact to travel that I think is not examined very much. We don't really have time to go into that here, but just think about this. Most people aren't going to move to a place unless they what?
They visited before.
They visited first. They visit and they say, I might live here. I might open a business here. So, there's an angle to that, but then there's just your straight jobs here, pretty impressive as well. If you want more data like that, U.S. Travel Association website has a whole section on research that you can pull in all kinds of little quick one-page fact sheets. If you're trying to talk about the impact with travel and tourism and you don't want to overwhelm somebody, they've got several just kind of one-pagers that get it all into one spot so you can talk about that sort of data. Great quote from Rafat Ali, who runs a media company called Skift that focuses on travel and technology. On his slide, travel, he says, travel is the world's largest industry. I ran some numbers. You can kind of, it's big. I'm not sure it's the world's biggest, but it's one of the biggest. He said, travel is the world's largest industry. Let's start acting like it. We bring in big bucks doing what we do. And even though it may seem a little frivolous, it's big bucks. A dollar bill spends the same way. Okay? We need to start taking ourselves seriously with the things that we do in travel and tourism. So you're all right, fine. Give me some, right? Let's talk about how to do that. Some fundamentals here. People have to know that your byway even exists before they're going to show up and spend money on it. So I pull into the airport here in Dayton the other day. I go out to pick up my rental car from Enterprise. She says, what are you doing here? I'm here to speak at a conference for byways. She says, what's that? I said, well, allow me to give my pitch. And so I said, do you know that you have, and I kind of pulled it out of my left ear because I really hadn't done my homework very well. There's some byways around here. We'll see them tomorrow. I'll get to it. But I said, yeah, you've got a number of byways here right in your area, and there's a strong byway network in Ohio, and there's one called the Cross Tip Churches, I think, and then there's like a St. Mary's something or other. You know, I mean, I just, standing right there, I couldn't give a very good speech, but I tried to tell her, hey, you've got some neat stuff around here. She says, really? I had no idea. All right? So they can recommend your byway if they know it exists. All right? But you've got a continuous selling process to make sure that people even understand that you have a scenic byway, heritage highway, an all-American road, national highway, that kind of thing. You even have such an asset, right? So first you got to get that word out. Then you got to get people to be convinced that it's worth them getting in their car to come see it. Okay? So it's kind of a slog sometimes. You're like, haven't I told this story before? Don't these people know? No, they don't. Yes, you do. Just keep saying it to every random enterprise person that you run across. Did you know that you have scenic byways in this area? Why, no, I did not. So I said, hey, just go Google Ohio scenic byways. You'll find some stuff. I hope you did.
Oh, yeah, it's
that good because because that's the answer right now is just tell people to give them the keywords to tell them how to go Google something, okay? But even if they know about it, you've got to convince them. Hey, Native Stone, I want to go see a byway that has a whole bunch of rock fences. I mean, I'm that kind of nerd, I'll go see it. I want to go to a byway where part of the thing one time a year is I can go sit in the grass and hopefully not get ticks and listen to symphony. You know, for some people that's like, nope, thanks. For other people like me, wow. Okay? Flint Hills. There's nothing to see there, it's flat. So what? People have to understand the beauty of the Flint Hills and what's there. You go into the museum there in Manhattan, the Little Apple, there's an incredible display that blew me away about prairie grasses and how long their roots are. And it's this basic, people, like plant roots. Right? It had long cylindrical tubes, right? And it had little grasses growing out the top, and then it showed, backlit through the tube, how long the root systems were for each of these grasses. I was enthralled by roots behind plexiglass. You just never know what's going to get somebody, okay? But you got to make sure that they know about it. So let's talk about some of the hows in terms of getting people to find out about your byway and getting them to your byway and getting them excited about it. For y'all, the vast majority of whom are unpaid, volunteers, nonprofit type folk, this is it, right? Everyone's like, what's the magic beans? Most of the time, there are no magic beans. The answer is always work your butt off, okay? What's the magic beans with social media, Sheila? Work your butt off. No, but really. No, but really. Okay? But this kind of thing. But you've always got to be thinking about this kind of concept. Let me give you a real quick example, not a byway, but it's a town, Granbury, Texas, which is southwest of Fort Worth. Has a very good online presence, online and on social media, across the web, and there's a reason for that. It didn't just happen magically. I talked about this, I think, at the last Heartland Byways conference in one of the breakout sessions. They built what I call a marketing layer cake, okay? They don't depend on the CDB or the DMO, Destination Marketing Organization, to do all of the promoting for the town. Each individual merchant and retailer, particularly on their historic square, is pretty strong on social media, usually with a really good Facebook page, okay? But they don't just promote themselves. Buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing, block, okay? Nobody wants to hear all that. They're very good about telling people what they individually offer, but they also excel at promoting one another because people come to Granbury for the whole experience of their downtown. So the Paradise Bistro says, did you know that so-and-so is playing at the Opera House tonight? And the Nut House boutique little hotel there says, did you know there's a sale on over at the quilt shop? They cross-promote one another because people come for the whole experience of the town. There's also a historic Granbury Merchants Association that's strong on social. The CVB does happen to be pretty strong on social. The town itself, the city of Granbury, is good on social. And they're also part of a regional trail through the Texas Historical Commission called the Texas Lakes Trail that also, promotes all the different things there in the particular lakes region of northern Texas. And then there's Texas tourism on top of that. Every one of your byways has the opportunity to have the same sort of philosophy of not just being in their little silo thinking about their thing, thinking about the byway as a whole and using some of the relationships that you already have, just translating that to online. I'm going to repeat this later, and I'll make a PDF of these slides and give them to Sharon. We can stick them on the website. No problem with that. But a quick summary of I'm sure I left something out. I thought of some options that you have for partnerships and cross-promotion for your byway, even if you have no money. You know what? No money is a blessing. I'd laugh too if somebody told me that, but no, work with me here, okay? I have found in my experience that the tourism organizations from the large cities that have a whole ton of money are actually not that effective in social communications, with a few exceptions. Thank you, because they're lazy, right? People are going to come to their big old thing anyway. Why should they engage with a bunch of comments on Facebook? Why should they respond to a tweet? They just throw money at it. When you have no money, you have to think, right? You have to get creative. And the thing that makes social media the most powerful, those social connections online, don't cost any money. Right? They cost time, no magic beans, but they're important because those are your visitors and they're talking to you. But it doesn't cost you any money. Right? So, just a few options here for folks that you can connect with. My business partner Leslie and I, and she is actually on a scenic byway, Rim of the World Scenic Byway out in Southern California. She and I have been doing some work with Main Street towns. And we did a training package with Wisconsin Main Street, a year-long online training thing. And we are just Main Street nerds now. This is an incredible program. I'll touch on that a little bit later. But your merchants association, your economic development corporations, there's kind of an angle there in terms of traffic on your byway. How can that translate into more vibrant small towns and downtowns? And Main Street, if you're in a larger area, is also pushing hard a program called Urban Main, where commercial corridors in large cities, they are putting the Main Street philosophy on those and doing some really interesting corridor revitalization in large cities. So Main Street's not just for small towns. But these are all the different folks that you can partner with. Don't miss the obvious, okay? Your local Convention and Visitors Bureau, again, many of them are using the term DMO these days, and many of them are changing their name from Scrunch CVB to Visit blah blah blah, or Experience blah blah blah. There's a reason for that. Nobody knows what the heck a CVB is. Sorry. Well, right? Nobody knows. She's a TB. Nobody knows what it is. So it becomes Visit Richmond, and Wayne County is in there. I'm sorry, county folks. Your average visitor does not give a fat rat's patootie about your county. They don't care where county lines are. They don't want to hear, I can't promote that because it's not in my county. And it's like right there, but I can't talk about that. No. Okay? So yeah, you got the county in there because you kind of have to, but people don't travel to a county unless it's that county with the covered bridges, Madison County. That's about the only county I've ever thought, maybe I should go visit. Otherwise you're visiting cities and town specific things, right? But don't forget your Convention and Visitors Bureaus and your DMOs along your byway. Never assume, a little moment here from a Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel, assume makes an ass out of you and me. Never assume that the CVBs or DMOs in your byway know that there's a byway. Never assume they know you exist. Never assume they know how to get hold of you, okay? And then conversely, of course, you never assume they know about you, and a lot of byways really don't kind of understand how DMOs work either. That's their whole job, is to promote the town and the region, connect with them, make sure you are maxing out that opportunity. Because here I specifically screenshot this particular carousel thing because of the trail. Lots of destinations have some kind of trail thing going on. Again, trails are convenient, especially if they're in a loop. You just kind of get on it and you go do all the things, and when you've done the trail, you've done all the things. Booyah! Right? People are busy. They don't want a long, elaborate whatever. A trail or a byway or something is so convenient. Partner with those tourism folks. They are pros at this, and they have a little bit of money as well, which is nice. Take advantage of the annual National Travel and Tourism Week. This is a U.S. Travel Association hoo-ha that happens every May. Big to-do, and just about every CVB and DMO you can think of in the U.S. spends the whole week hollering about the importance of travel and tourism and how many jobs it brings and rah, 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 rah. So it's kind of a big love me thing. But most DMOs also use it as an opportunity to kind of remind everybody, hey, we exist and here's what we do and here's why it's important. So you can be a part of that, and it is a national event. There's all kinds of activity that happens around National Travel and Tourism Week. Connect with your Main Street folks. Figure out who your Main Street towns are. If you have any on your byway, go meet the Main Street director. That person has 11 bajillion things going on, and it may never have crossed their mind that a scenic byway is in their area. You know, and even if it doesn't run right through the middle of their town, it's okay for them to know that you are there as an asset, and maybe you can help them in some way. There's a great connection there. And again, Main Street is mostly focused on economic development, downtown development, that kind of stuff, but there is a tourism component to what they do. It's a natural fit for what you have as a byway. Brand USA. There is a public-private partnership called Brand USA that their #1 job is to sell the U.S. to international travelers. They are, in fact, if you look at the back end of the, if you're a Byway Foundation member, we did a webinar a few years ago with one of the Brand USA reps. I'm pretty sure the webinar recording is on the back end. You just log in as a member and you'll be able to see it. But they're not just going for the big cities, okay? They organize media familiarization tours with international media and international bloggers and Instagrammers and online people, and they take them all over the U.S. and they want to see the cool stuff. They want to see the stuff that nobody else has seen, right? You know where that is in and around your byway. And Brand USA, they are not too big to work with you. Just make sure they're on your radar, you're on their radar when they start putting together these multinational fam trips, because they can bring some visibility, some amazing visibility in international media to places that probably otherwise would not get it. IPW used to be called International Powwow, and then somebody decided that was a bad idea. So now it's IPW, kind of like Kentucky Fried Chicken is now KFC, but all right, fine. IPW is your opportunity to partner with the National Scenic Byway Foundation folks to get, again, in front of international media. IPW is a big trade show that happens once a year, massive trade show, specifically for international tour operators that come to the U.S., and they go and talk to a whole bunch of different DMOs and organizations, including national parks and everything, to see about group tour opportunities, individual tour opportunities, all different kinds of people, tour operators from all different kinds of countries. The Byway Foundation goes to IPW every year. They take meetings in what's called Federal Row, which is where the parks and all that kind of stuff are. Terrific visibility for byways, and you can be a part of that. I know do we have at least one person in here from the Byway Foundation that's done IPW? Am I covering it okay?
I have not done it myself.
Did I miss anything?
No, you didn't miss anything, but no, there's nobody in the room that's actually done it, but we could talk about it. Just
Okay.
come
Yeah.
see somebody from the
So
foundation.
think about that, okay? That this is an opportunity to get your byway visibility in front of international tour operators.
I mean, there's an opportunity for you to do it directly, but
Yeah.
the cost is ginormous.
Yeah.
So when you partner with us, we bring your word and your itineraries, and we meet with the people.
Yeah.
That's right. So they have to hump a 3-day trade show, and you don't have to. Yeah. Okay? I've done a few trade shows, man. I can't smile and my feet hurt. Hi! I don't really want to see you, but hi! Yeah. They're brutal. They're really. If you do them right. If you don't sit behind the table and look at your phone the whole whole time. If you're up, out and about and being welcoming at your booth, you want to kill someone by the end of the weekend. So let these guys do it. Let the Byway Foundation do it for you. And concurrent with IPW is also this site, Come Closer to America, which is another online effort to raise visibility of scenic byways and different, this is a screenshot, but the different participating byways, there's a drop down there if you go to the website, and you can get a sense of how the byways that have participated are kind of selling their wares, if you will, to international visitors and international tour operators. So there's some great opportunities there with the Byway Foundation to get more visibility for your byway. So I've kind of whipped through your partnership opportunities rather quickly here. Did I miss something obvious, or is there something you want me to discuss in more detail, or does somebody have any input to any of these options for partnerships?
So the individual byways can send our itineraries to Sharon, and she'll do it at IPW?
There's a cost, because it costs us a lot to go, so we have a rate. I don't remember it, I could look it up in my minutes, like in the hundreds, but it would cost you thousands to go to yourself. But it's in the hundreds, and then we represent you.
Yeah. And the better the collateral, if you will, the pretty pictures and all that kind of stuff that you provide the folks that go to IPW, the better they can sell your destinations and your byways. Yes, ma'am.
And being on Federal Row is a big deal. We get to sit and nest in the national parks and the Forest Service, and our customers, the international bus tour operators, come and sit with us and talk with us about byways on Federal Row.
Do you also do media day there, or just take appointments?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to that either.
Media Day, do we do Media Day? I don't know.
Well, there's appointments.
I think we have.
I think we have.
I mean, it's such a huge trade show.
It's
bananas.
monstrous.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, and I can say too, from the state level, we offer similar opportunities as other states I'm sure do, where we go to, whether it's the state fair, and buy the booth, and people can come and participate in that and work a shift, so I don't have to be there for 17 days, and they can do it for a 4-hour period. Same thing with bigger trade shows like the international media trade shows and things like that, like you're talking about with Brand USA and IPW and DNAI.
Destinations International.
So both of those, or all of those, are opportunities that I think most states, now I can't speak on behalf of all of them, but offer opportunities to sort of do that buy down to participate from a tourism standpoint.
So contact your state tourism office and say, what can we do for you?
Yeah.
Right?
If you're
Or how
plugged
can we work
in, yeah.
together?
If you're plugged into those regional DMOs and those state DMOs,
Huh?
then that's, you don't have to remember all this stuff. They remember it, but they remember that you said, hey, if there's anything that you think would be a good fit for my byway that I can help you with collateral, or I can help with a booth shift or something, let me know. Then that's going to probably pay off for you. But you got to be kind of plugged into the tourism side of the house. And I get that when you're, wrestling with the alligators, the last thing you're thinking about way up here is Brand USA. But, try every once in a while to elevate your mental drone, right? And get that 30,000-foot view, because it can come back for you in terms of wonderful things. We got one here, and then at least 2 or 3. Okay, I saw you. Go ahead.
Well, just on a smaller scale, we were just chatting, Ohio does one, and I think all the other states do, with partnering with AAA. And they do a travel show. It's a big opportunity for AAA to sell their tours, but at the same time, they have a variety of bureaus that are there. It's a natural fit.
But I did sign up for an email from the DNR in Indiana, and I am getting those, and I'm paying attention to those. And I know Kansas just did a
DNR, Department of Natural Resources.
Department of Natural Resources,
Okay.
yes. And then Kansas just did there's people from Kansas here, a thing in Des Moines, which was similar to what Indiana had done, and I know it was very well attended. And from my social media, it looks like I-70 and some of the Kansas byways were represented. But it was nice to see that some byways were hopping on that, because that's a state event and I see those picking up a lot of steam. And it's that their attendances where you can really meet the people that you want to meet, that you need, worth your time.
Yes, Sarah and her business partner, Lisa Trudell, just started an event last year, a Midwest travel blogger travel network event that was in Clear Lake, Iowa. It's going to be in Medora, North Dakota. Again, if somebody told me a few years ago that there was going to be a whole Midwest travel blogger scene, I would have been stunned, because when I started travel blogging in 2006, There was one blogger, Dominique King, who wrote a blog called Midwest Guest, and she's still writing it. She's out of Michigan, and she was it. I mean, there was bupkis for Midwest travel bloggers, and now there's a whole conference and a network and a Facebook group and all kinds of stuff. So there's rich opportunities, both at big events and smaller events, to connect with the people who can get the word out, the how of getting the word out about your byway. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to say, when you're looking at partnerships, don't forget your own transportation department in your state. Ohio, at least, they do a fabulous job of working with our byways. They help promote them, they have story maps on their website. We really are great partners, so that's something really to rely on.
You know, and every states are different. There's not a single designated scenic byway in Texas. I don't know what's up with that. I have a suspicion it's something to do with we're independent and we don't need those, black helicopter people coming in and designating our scenic byways or some kind of horse manure. I don't know. But we don't have any, which is sort of bogus. If you Google scenic drives in Texas, you'll find them. There's a loop in the hill country during wildflower season, that kind of stuff. But they're homegrown, if you will. There's not a single designated byway in Texas. So, some of the stuff that might be good for your state in terms of who to partner with makes no sense in Texas, but some of the stuff that folks do in Texas may make, you may have assets that we'd kill for in Texas. Okay? So it's all going to be what your state structure is in terms of how much you can plug in, how effectively for your byway with the infrastructure that's available to you. Yes, sir?
Yeah, I'd suggest that other partners that you'd like to develop, your elected officials and your legislators. Because those are all people who eventually have a great deal to do with controlling money.
So your elected officials and your legislators, as another opportunity for partnership and for education. You got to remember, there's churn all the time. You have new legislators come in, and now you've learned that travel and tourism is billion with a B, and they're busy. They have no clue, right? And I'm glad you mentioned that because we have a lot of discussion about that in Texas in terms of legislative advocacy, not just at the congressional level in D.C., but in the state house where things many times get done and get done faster, right? And so there's an anecdote from the guy who runs Texas Travel Industry Association that there was a particular bill that TTIA was opposed to and TTIA membership was opposed to, and he was speaking to a legislator from out in West Texas, and the guy said, I'm not hearing anybody complaining about it, nobody is getting hold of me about it, so I'm not interested in it. So David goes and does some, as we would call it, speed dialing in the old days. I don't know, speed punching on your little rectangle there. But I think there was a waitress in Iowa when I was poking with my phone at dinner, and she said, "You need to put down your rectangle now." Good for her. Anyway, so David goes and gets hold of a couple of the CVBs and DMOs, because you got to remember, there are counties in Texas that are bigger than a number of states put together. Now, there's nothing in there. They're big. Whoop-de-doo, there's nothing there, but they'd be really mad if they heard me say that. But there's folks out there. He went over and kind of poked a few of them. Next time he got hold of the legislator, the guy said, "Oh my God, my phone's been ringing off the hook. I got 4 calls last week." And he was sold on the validity of the bill because people just took the time to say, "Hey, state senator, state representative, so-and-so, just wanted you to know this is important to me. I'm in your district. This matters. Here's why. I would appreciate your vote for, against, whatever the thing is." Great point about your legislator. Yes, ma'am.
Also, you want to work with your local visitor bureaus. You want to work with your local visitor bureaus. For instance, with the National Road Scenic Byway, whenever I reach out to a journalist, a blogger, a travel writer, an editor, I always pitch the historic National Road as a story idea. So.
And how many of you even know what the National Road is? Roughly, percentage-wise, how many of them go, "Oh yeah, that"? They all
The
heard it.
media, she was asking you the media.
Yeah, but I mean, the folks that you arrange media visits with, when you mention that that's an asset of this area, do they know what the National Road is?
Well, I always have an explanation.
Yeah, but do they know?
Some do, some don't. I would
Well,
say
you know,
it's pretty weird.
Yeah. Lincoln Highway, a lot of folks have never heard. Everyone's heard of Route 66. But all these other things, Lincoln Highway, National Road, all that good stuff, there's the cosmic void out there. So go fill it, okay? We have a couple time for a couple more. Yes, ma'am.
Just a simple thing. There was a weatherman in our town in Charleston, West Virginia, and I got in a conversation with him about the Midland Trail, and he's learned a history back. And since that day, which has been a decade ago, every night when he does the weather, he'll say, and up the Midland Trail. You can't buy that.
Wow.
Whoa!
So she connected with her local weatherman, and explained to him about the fact that, you know, underneath all those clouds and things, there was this thing called the what is it?
Midland.
The Midland Trail, and now he closes his weather report with, and up the Midland Trail.
Yeah, he's doing it.
And you know, and that's where the second screen comes in. That's where people go, and they reach down, they pick up their phone, and they go, Google. Really? That's how people find you. Yes, sir?
Another one that you could look at, all military bases today are required to put on, and normally do at least once, if not twice a year, a things to do, especially for significant others. And it's amazing how much, and that's usually free, there's no charge, but you can come in, and especially if you can show them routes, places to go, you can really pick up the tourism, because they're looking for ways to get away from the base.
That's a great point. Your welfare and recreation, or whatever they call it, depending on the type of service, is great for making those connections, because maybe those people are going to be there for a short period of time, but they're going to have people come visit them, okay? And there are folks who, I posted a photo from Cheyenne, Wyoming, and a guy who lives here in Dayton said, oh, I was stationed there, it was awesome. And I was like, really? And I'd forgotten he was in the Air Force. What the hell was he doing in Cheyenne? Oh, and you know, there's some connections there with bases and stuff that you might not expect, and people have long memories. So take a team approach with what you're doing with your byway, figure out who you can partner with, who you can connect with. You have fabulous, fabulous things to offer. Terrific experiences that are convenient, easy to get to. People love a good road trip. Lord, after running through Hartsfield-Jackson yesterday trying to catch my connection, ugh. And I never check bags, and so when I drive, I'm like, full shampoo bottles, yeah! Whereas when I fly, I gotta strip down and go, you know, commando with my suitcase, right? A road trip, yay! It's easy, especially with a byway where it's laid out for you and has a cohesive story to tell. I bought this piece of metalwork in Council Grove, Kansas, and it hangs right in front of my front door. It's a little rusty now. That's it on the kitchen counter. That's also many stains before the kitchen counter. You don't want to look at the kitchen counter right now. But you have something wonderful to offer, something quintessentially American to offer, and that's what people are looking for today. I'm going to talk a little bit on Friday as we close about what today's traveler is looking for. But you got it. I'll totally take away the suspense. You already got it. Right? You have what they want.